Hello and welcome to my next installment of AMVlog. You know, there was something interesting I was thinking about today. There's an old Chinese proverb that goes, "Give a man a fish and you feed him for a day, but teach a man to fish and you feed him for a lifetime." You know, these videos basically have that purpose, to teach you how to fish, so to speak. That's why we don't publish, let's say, project files where basically everything's handed to you. We're trying to teach you how to develop your own editing style. Now, not to push this analogy too far, but today's lesson is so basic that if we're going to compare it to fishing, all I'm going to be teaching you is how to put the worm on the hook. Today's video is going to be talking about specifically aspect ratio. And no, that's not an exotic dish. Aspect ratio is the shape of your video, the length and the width of your video. That's aspect ratio. And it's something that everyone can tell when they're watching a video, but for some reason a lot of people overlook it whenever they're editing. But it's something so fundamental, even a person that's not into editing would notice it if you got it wrong. Take for example this video clip. I'm going to fade from this clip to the next clip, and you can clearly see how when I jump from one to the other, the aspect ratio, it's totally different, and it stands out very clearly. Now, let's not just talk about not changing the aspect ratio. Let's talk about whenever you do change the aspect ratio in an improper way. Look, for example, at this video clip. On the left side, you can see what the original aspect ratio of the video was. Now, on the top right corner, you can see how it's been stretched out to fit a widescreen aspect ratio. And that clearly affects the quality of the video, since you can tell it looks pretty bad. And on the bottom right side, you can see how it retained its original aspect ratio, but the way it was rendered, you get what's called a pillar box, where you have the two black lines on the side. And another error that occurs with widescreen is that if it's rendered wrong, you get what's called a letterbox, where you can see these two black lines on the top. And these are just some of the mistakes that you get when you don't render the aspect ratio properly. Okay, so before we move on to how to fix this, keep in mind the following. There are several different types of aspect ratios for film, depending on what you're doing, but overall the most popular ones are the ones that you see on the screen right now. The one that used to be used a lot was the 4:3 standard TV screen, which looks like a square, but the one that's being used right now on almost any type of media is the 16:9 widescreen, which looks like a rectangle. And for now, that's all we really need to know about the different types of aspect ratio. The next thing we want to do is learn how to fix it. First things first, let's find out the exact size of our video. To do this, just right click and look where it says properties on your video. Once you're there, just look where it says media and scroll down to where it says attributes. Right there on attributes, it tells us the exact size, which for this clip it's 702 by 480. Also, make sure you notice where it says pixel aspect ratio. Right here it says 1000 square. So we're going to close this, and now we're going to go to our property settings, and we're going to type in all that information. The width is 702, the height is 480, and our pixel aspect ratio, we'll put it at 1000. And with that, our project is basically set to start editing to the exact aspect ratio of our clip. And naturally, we can also follow the same exact steps if our video is a widescreen. We check the properties, look at its attributes, then we go to the project settings and type in that exact information, and we're ready to go with our widescreen. But it doesn't end there. When it finally comes time to render your video clip, make sure that the aspect ratio of your clip is the exact same one that you typed in. So when you go to render, just make sure you go where it says custom, and where it says width and height, you type in that exact same size of your clip. And that's pretty much it. Now keep in mind that there really should never be a moment when you're going to alter the original aspect ratio of your clip. Always edit to it in its original aspect ratio, never change it. The only time that you should change the aspect ratio of your video clip, it's say for example you're editing with multiple animes or multiple sources and they both have different aspect ratios. In that case, go with the widescreen, which is the most popular one and the one being used right now. To change it is fairly easy. Just go to the pan and crop section. Go to your presets, then scroll down and select the 16:9 widescreen. And that immediately turns your full screen into a widescreen source. And that's the only time that you can actually adjust the aspect ratio without affecting the quality of your clips. But keep in mind, don't do this once more to all your clips if you're going to be editing completely in full screen, because you're cutting off a big chunk of the animation. You can see on the top and the bottom all that you cut off. So always edit with the original aspect ratio of your video clip. But with that in mind, we've come to the end of this exciting video, and you now know how to put the worm on the hook. Man, I pushed that analogy too far. But yes, you've learned a very basic thing today. Therefore, thank you for watching this extremely boring video, and be sure if you have any questions to post them in the comments below, and I'll be sure to reply to them as soon as possible.